Wizard Cyber are a managed detection and response service, traditionally called an MSSP, which is a managed services security provider. What we do is we look at a business and how we can help protect that business against modern day cyber threats. So we look at your whole business from network hardening through to endpoint protection, through to 24/7 services, ensuring that you've got protection all the time from cyber threats. We've got numerous accountants from clients. We target small business from single man practices through to several thousand employees and endpoints. So we're trying to gear up to help everybody, because everybody, whether it's the one-man practice or whether you've got several thousand, has protecting themselves from the same threats. Employ the services of an MDR or an MSSP. There is no silver bullet with cybersecurity. There are so many areas to protect against. You need to make sure your whole business is protected. If you leave one door open, a vulnerability can get through and start looking at your data, and a vulnerability and a breach is going to be on the occurrence. Bring your own devices themselves are subject to the same risks as any other computer. The difference being the organisation and the accountancy practice can't install their own protection software on those devices because they're not theirs. So it's a very tight line between what you can protect against on somebody else's device. So as long as the authentication going into the cloud is secure using two-factor or multi-factor authentication, that's fine. The last thing you would want to do is have somebody log in on their own device that has a key generator or a key piece of software, a key logger on their computer. They key their login name to the Sage Cloud, they key their password to the Sage Cloud, they're there. If they then back that up with two-factor authentication or multi-factor, their mobile phone will then ask them to authenticate again. So even with a key logger on a computer, you can still actually protect against that. Key issues for accountants moving forward are literally trying to protect against all the breaches that are going to be out there. Artificial technology is coming up, artificial intelligence, the more and more breaches will be occurring. Accountancy firms, some of them have been established for many, many years. They're used to just having antivirus installed and protecting themselves. That's no longer the case. So they need to employ the services of an MDR or a security consultancy that can actually protect their computers or their BYO devices from these modern day threats. Blockchain and cryptocurrency is obviously huge. It's been around for quite a while now. We're still waiting for all of the banks and the governments to adopt and regulate. The problem being from an accountancy perspective is all of your software will eventually be having to manage them as bank accounts, current accounts. And then you're obviously looking at the FX rates or the equivalent of the FX rates in terms of you'll be looking at the value of the cryptocurrency. You're selling services for 1,000 GBP and all of a sudden 3 days later it's actually worth 500 GBP. So unless you can start paying your staff in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, you're going to have to deal with those hedging of the actual rates that are going to be there. Then you've got the issues of theft and insurance. So you've got all of your money in cryptocurrency and all of a sudden either it crashes or worse, your data gets stolen and your wallet disappears. So I can imagine a traditional accountant is going to be very scary of those type of technologies. Any software, any program, any algorithm is going to be subject at some point to having people trying to break it. It is very new. People are saying it's safe at the moment, but safe for how long? As artificial intelligence comes in, as quantum computing comes in, there'll be more and more people trying to attack those currencies. Why attack one computer when you can attack a whole platform and get billions of dollars? The downside of it being vulnerable and breached would be that it would crash completely at that point. So it's very difficult, turbulent times for that type of currency. Accountants generally have very basic protection within their organisations, especially the smaller practices. So they have lots of desktops, it's older technology, some of it's older hardware as well, so more prevalent to vulnerabilities, whether they're still using Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10's a bit more secure, very few Macs in the accountancy industry. But all accountants obviously are looking at budget, are looking at the actual cost of cybersecurity with GDPR coming up or coming in tomorrow. Probably not used tomorrow in this. With GDPR prevalent. So what we would do for an accountancy house, no matter what the size, we would try to put in a protection level that covers their web browsing, covers their next generation antivirus, covers their network hardening, their switches, their firewalls, so that we are protecting them to a good enough degree to protect that data and their customers.